Another panel. So, how to guide game development into Web3. So, who have we got for our panelists? We have Flavien, who's going to moderate, Roman, Dallas, Stefan, and Maciej.
Just grabbing some water before we begin. Hello, everyone. Very pleased. Not everyone is seeing us, but very pleased to be here today. I am Flavien Defraire, the Director of Global Development of the BGA, the Blockchain Game Alliance. The Blockchain Game Alliance is a non-profit organization committed to promoting blockchain within the gaming industry. We encourage adoption. We promote blockchain technologies with the help of our members and 500 companies as members of the BGA all across the globe. And very happy today to welcome our BGA members to tackle that very cool subject around game developers, how to onboard game developers into Web3. So, gentlemen, very happy to have you today. I will ask you, the first question will be an easy one. Could you give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you do? Starting with you, Dallas, and we go all the way.
Okay, thanks, Flavien. My name's Dallas Johnson, and I'm the head of engineering at Dacoco, and we're the creators of Alien Worlds, which is a large, well, based on daily active users, a huge blockchain game based on Wax. Yep.
Hi. Hi. Yeah. My name is Stefan Colins. I'm head of marketing community at Venly. Venly provides a complete technology stack to bring brands, games, and platforms to blockchain, but more about our solutions and stuff during this panel, I assume.
Hello all. Great to be here. I'm Maciej. I've been in gaming industry for over 20 years. Most of my life spent in Asia, China, Taiwan, some of the part in US. I'm just recently back to Europe, co-founding Reality Metaverse. I believe, as a lot of people do in the industry, that we are bringing something unique, probably one of the top projects of this year, hopefully. We'll see. And yeah, I'm trying to bring all my experience from the 2 decades of game industry, working from Samsung, for Wanda, for all the big companies, and now co-creating a new company into Web3.
Hi, my name is Roman. I'm CEO and founder of Legendary Play. I'm in the games industry since 12 years now. We create games for esports fans globally and recently tapped into Web3 from Web2 game development.
Thank you, gentlemen. Actually, good segue, Roman. We are very close to each other. That's great. You launched the game Rival, so as you said, really involved in the esports ecosystem, a successful esports manager game. You want your game to be an integral part of what it means to be a new sport fan. Why did you? Could you tell us more about the reason why you you decided to go into Web3?
So that was actually a year ago at this event. We started the research in 21 about blockchain games when you could not avoid the hype. I think with Axie exploding in good terms at this year in 21 and play to earn, and we looked at it from a game development standpoint, and we didn't get it. We didn't get why it was so successful, or we didn't see a good game there. We didn't see a sustainable economy, and I thought like, okay, that will not work, and we should not do that. But then I saw a lot of talented guys going into the space, and there was, of course, a lot of money, or is still a lot of money there. And then we thought, what's interesting, what really stuck with us is digital ownership, which we think will change the game industry in the next years to come. And then basically, after talking with a lot of people and get more insight, I went to my team, to my co-founder, and I remember when we took the taxi back to the airport here, I told him we have to go into Web3, and he was super scared. So making games alone is hard enough. Making games with Web3 components is even more difficult. So at the end, I think for us the decision was, if you think ahead in the next maybe 5 years or so, what's currently lacking is like good games, good UX, fun games. But I think this will come when experienced game developers start to build them. And that is happening right now. And I think that is something that is solvable, but the benefits for the gamers lie in digital ownership. And I think that is, when you compare two games and both are built with high production value and have fun experiences, and the one offers you ownership of the assets you get by paying or playing, and the other does not, which one you're gonna play as a gamer? And this kind of stuck with me, as I'm a hardcore gamer since 20 years. And yeah, I mean, I can tell it on stage here, I dropped out of school to play World of Warcraft. That is something I can tell here, and people like it, but back in the days it was something that was really not cool, especially for my parents. But I mean, industry has changed a lot since then, and I think we might see a change like we did some years ago with premium and free-to-play. So I can imagine in the future that people avoid playing a game if they don't own the assets they buy or get in the game. And that is the reason why we said, okay, we have to be part of this. And the earlier the better, and we have to solve a lot of challenges on the way. But yeah, I think we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll be able to tackle that as well. Thank you. And actually, it's very interesting to have your opinion about what happened as a company when you decided to shift into Web3. And actually, that's going to be the same question for you, Dallas. From the perspective of a game company, this shift from being, let's say, in Web2 gaming to Web3 gaming, do you feel like the focus of the company changes as well?
Yeah, okay. So I guess for our company, we more had a heritage in the crypto side of things rather than the gaming side of things. So for us, it wasn't so much that we came from Web2 gaming into Web3. It's that we were Web3 the way we thought about things. And so we came from blockchain in the early days of Wax and EOS, and were block producers. And my start into the industry was building DAO software. So we're building complete decentralized autonomous organizations on the blockchain, and having all of that run in a decentralized environment where no one can really interfere and get in, corrupt that, I guess. And so from that platform, then we came to building the game and the Alien Worlds game, and building the whole story and the lore around that with the mining. And the whole concept there was that people mine for scarce in-game resources, and then from that we build up to a position where you've got competing, or planets that are operated as DAOs and competing for these in-game scarce resources. So for us, the mentality of going from like thinking Web 2 to Web 3, it was more, we were never like a company creating something for a consumer. We were like a builder building something, and building something for other builders and other people in the community. So rather than say a B2C relationship, we were building a C2C relationship where we were positioning ourselves to be customers or partners out there in the community with the people, building the assets, building NFTs, and building at the start or the seeding blocks for economy, so they can build along with us. And then in effect, they become your partners and they become your marketing department, because they're out there, build along with you, they own the assets as well, and they're wanting to build and market your game in the same way that your own in-house marketing team would want to build and market your game.
Yeah, we'll be able to tackle that, the importance of community within blockchain game just after. And before that, Maciej, actually, it's going to be the same question. So you said it, your experience in developing a game since 10 years, more than 10 years, especially geolocation games. Why did you decide to transition to Web3?
Well, there are a few things that drives me to Web3 in particular. The very first thing is I have been building platforms, gaming platforms. I used to be head of gaming at Samsung for Galaxy Store globally, and well, to get fraction, we need to have a lot of users going to the platform, but we are competing to like Google Play and Apple. Then joined as VP of Business Development Marketing for Aptoid, which is the second largest platform out there for Android. And what was striking enough is that having getting more content, like getting like all the big publishers to join those platforms is actually not easy. You might say, well, we are second largest, so we are like Samsung, we give you so much. The first question they're gonna ask is like, well, how many users are you going to have, right? And the same thing happening in the Web3 when we are trying to bring developers in, but the very first question is, what's there for me? So it's incentive. It's usually money that talks. And I see, well, if a project has a 1,000 DAU and you call it successful, well, we have some trouble here. So this is something that is like a lot of people at this moment of the Web3 thinking from a negative point, but I'm thinking positive. I'm thinking in the sense that the same thing happened when Web 1 was changing to Web 2, and currently the visionaries, the people that actually control the pretty much entire world, they are the ones who actually create Facebook, YouTube, they create all those social medias that were going from Web 1 to Web 2. So I was saying to myself, well, I might not have an opportunity back then, but I have an opportunity to now to enter that. And the same goes for early adopters, Probably most of us is going to fail badly, but some of us is going to strive. And I think that's what drives me forward. Yeah.
Awesome. Stefan, on your side, you're developing a lot of different services with Venly. The decision to go into Web3 often comes with a lot of questions for game companies, game developers. What blockchain should I use? What wallet should I use? Self-custody for every players? So a lot of questions. How do you try to guide them?
That's indeed a good question. First of all, I believe that game studios should focus first on creating a great game, a great experience. And we talk a lot about blockchain gaming and Web3, but blockchain for us is technology who is under the hood of a game and supports the game. It's the same if you do like a payment with Visa or MasterCard, you don't think about what protocol and technology you use to transfer money. No, you just do it, and it's about simplicity and it's about the ease of use. And this is what we try to achieve with Venly, is indeed, to onboard users, focus on user onboarding. And when it comes on choosing a chain, it most depends on what type of project you have. Like if transaction speed is important, if you want to do like minting on the fly and stuff like that, it's a technology choice, but we are blockchain agnostic, and at the end of the day, we should get rid of the different chains, and as a player, you just start playing a game, and it doesn't matter what chain you have. So that's why we have different chains in our product stack, and over time, we will see what chains we will add, and what other chains that will, find or see the light here. Regarding custodial, non-custodial, it's very hot topic today about not your key, not your tokens, all the stuff. It's the same for NFTs, but we believe that if you want to bring mainstream people towards the industry, you should make it as easy as possible and first focus on the user onboarding and educate them. And later, when they know more about how the NFT space is working, and maybe they even don't know they have a wallet with an in-game asset, which is actually an NFT who is stored on chain. When they know later, we can educate them, and they can then see, okay, I have a wallet, it's custodial, I want to take ownership, but also the risk of taking ownership of it, I can go to a non-custodial wallet. So it all depends on the education. We are very early, and everybody says we are early, but it's all about technology supporting a game and not the other way around. This is important. So, yeah.
Very cool, very cool. Tackling more the subjects of community, we talk about that a little bit. Roman, obviously involved in esports. You are really into community-based game. We understand Web3 through the number of incentivization that could be done in games. Do you see this as a new opportunity for new game design?
Well, that's it's actually several questions in one, I think. And so first, I think there's maybe benefits, and I can tell it from our personal experience. We are moving from Web 2 to Web 3 with the new game we are building. And it forces us to maybe be more stricter about the vision, the game vision, because you will have contact with the community way earlier if you follow classic, I mean, it's not all Web 3 best practices. So you start building a community early and integrate the community to build a product which is really for them, and they also shape the product a bit more. It forces you to create a strong game vision, because otherwise you don't have at this early stage really gameplay prototypes or something, so you have maybe a lot of text, pictures, maybe characters and stuff, but those have to be appealing enough. And then ideally to attract gamers, right? And we're building it for gamers, we're not building it for crypto investors or Web3 natives. So normally in Web2 gaming, you don't really have contact with the community before you have anything in soft launch. So you do marketing tests, but you don't have, and you don't really integrate them into the development. So I think that is super interesting. And if you're a small developer, which we are, it can limit the risk to expend money into something which you spend 2-3 years building, but you don't know if you really build it for the right audience. Of course, you can do marketing tests, but it's different if you have already some 1,000 people engaged in the community in Discord, coming with ideas, creating websites for the game, and helping to test the game, bringing in their friends. And this is something which I really like from Web3, which is something Web2 is avoiding because we're always scared to show our games to gamers because it's never perfect. So Web3, I think, forces you to do that. And then what you can do game design-wise, that is really still super open. It's very exciting for our team and for our game designers. Some ideas maybe which come around is, of course, interoperability, which is a big buzzword. And I'm not going to start on that because it's very tricky, just to say that, and I don't think that should be the reason you go into Web3. But maybe stuff like items that change depending on who own them, maybe game design around guilds and items, tradable stuff between players. And I think that is what's interesting with NFTs in games is that it doesn't always have to be about monetary value, because you always say like that is the thing that gamers see when they see Web3 games. It's they think about like I don't care about tokens, I don't care about how much money I can make with the games. Some gamers might do, but I would say the majority of gamers care about fun, want to play a good gameplay with their friends for as long as possible and shape the game. And can NFTs enhance that experience? I think so. Have you seen anything in that way? Not yet, I would say, but there might be definitely new game designs around NFTs in games. Like I said, especially for trading, common goals, bragging rights, bringing it outside of the ecosystem into another ecosystem, maybe yes, partnerships, and especially ownership. I think that is super interesting. But not yet a game where it's say like this is it. So we still need to define these models and create a playbook, basically.
Actually, you said it, Dallas, you said it as well. Everyone feels like a contributor in Web3, someone who wants to build strong relationship with the game rather than just a customer with a quick selling transaction being made. It seems that it's changing governance thanks to decentralization. Do you think game developers should be scared of this shift of power?
Yeah, it can be scary, absolutely, launching straight into it. So our approach is that our vision is that we want to decentralize as much as possible of the game. Not just like, yes, certainly have ownership of NFTs in the hands of our users, but also the ownership of the mechanics of the game, and that the very essence of what makes the game go around shouldn't be something that's just controlled by us on a off-chain API server somewhere. So as much as possible, we put the mechanics and all those mechanisms we can into the smart contracts themselves. The blockchain we use, Wax, we've got the NFTs with all the attributes already stored on chain. So all the switching and feature toggling and attributes you can get from mining are already built into the smart contracts themselves. But that has the risk, and the scary part of if you're just handing over all that power to a decentralized thing that just runs autonomously and you can't stop it, like just turn the servers off if things go crazy, is a bit scary. So rather than us just go all in decentralized from day one, we've taken an approach of we start with giving certain amount of things, certain amount of control to each of the planetary DAOs. So in our case, each of the planetary DAOs has accumulated a large treasury, which they use in elections to distribute and build more game modules, or in fact do whatever they want with. But rather than give them access to all of that tokens right up front, which could be millions and millions of dollars worth, we're just drip feeding that out at a small rate of 2% per week at this stage. And the elections happen every week. So that's a starting point to give the DAOs a taste of how to govern themselves, trip over, make some mistakes, but the damage is quite small at that point. And then over time, we're going to gradually release the screws so that they can have higher access, greater access to the funds, but then also greater access to some of the attributes of the whole DAO system. So they can change how many custodians are running on each planet, or how long the election period is, or so many other attributes related to mining and how much the inflation rewards get distributed to mining versus to the lands and various other mechanics in there. And we do have a lot of mechanics in there, so I can't go into all the details. Some of this won't make sense, so I'm just glossing over it. But the point is about the fear of just launching straight into being decentralized from day one. It's more thinking of it like a spectrum. So you can be fully centralized where you don't use blockchain at all, or you can be fully decentralized where everyone is completely autonomous and has full control. But then you can gradually architect your system so that you gradually transition from one to the other. As you see, and I guess a key point there is, when do you release those confinements on the system? And it's when you see the culture start to emerge in the community. And you can start seeing they're not just going to be a whole lot of people that take their assets, it's in their hand, and go and dump them on the market and disappear into the sunset. When you can see that they're feeding back in through the Discord, the Telegram channels, and you can see clear signs that they're actually wanting to build with the assets rather than just dump them, that's when we start to release more power into the community and let them control the whole thing.
But actually, in the flip side, I understood that your community is really challenging you in terms of what kind of experience they would like to have in the game that you didn't think of at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So when we first launched the DAO mechanic, which was in about November, I think that's when we actually made it go live, we were scared then that they were just going to take as much of the money as they could and then just dump it, and then just, oh shit, okay, there we go, gone. But as it turns out, they were coming back saying, oh, only 2% per week, but we want to go and build this system and we want to build that. And some of them looked at our initial UI and thought, oh, gee, that's not what I would have done. It's like, well, okay, what would you have done? Well, we would have built this. And then they've got one that they've built separately. And because it's all on the blockchain, that can all work. And they can have, right now we have like 3 different UIs that work into our DAO system. We only built one of them. And, you know, I could argue that maybe the other 2 are better. And that's the nature of decentralization. And rather than be sort of offended by that, we're actually really excited by that possibility that they really are building and they're really taking control and they're really making us challenge ourselves and get better.
I would maybe like to add something there, because I think that was or is still for traditional Web2 developers the most scary part, to give away control and ownership of the game, because it's, like I said, all we here know that it's already tricky to build a game, but to have this unknown openness in terms of economy, but also in terms of game decisions is really scary. And on the other side, I think it can enhance engagement, and that's why we are thinking about doing it, but in a very small manner. So I don't know, if you start building a game and you have like even 5 game designers in a room, it's already tricky enough. Imagine you have like 500 or 5,000 or whatever. So I would not give a huge say about the economy or something, or maybe like what is the next feature we're gonna build, but like parts of it, that is why we are thinking about it. For example, in our game, top users will have kind of like a player council where they can influence the meta over the next seasons with some votes, for example. So maybe not saying what the meta is, but what the meta is not. Yeah. So that's like small things which still is a novelty in Web2 and still give you more sense of ownership, engagement, and being part of the gaming experience. And I think that is super exciting, and that will becoming more and more part of the game industry, I think so.
Well, because it's on the blockchain, a public blockchain, whatever people do, they can just add also without, it's not just they're going to change something, it's additive. So like I mentioned, the other UIs, they're completely additive, but also some of the mechanics like the NFTs and NFT points, which are on-chain, we've seen other people create whole new games which use those same points. So points would have been used in our game, well, those same points are now being used in their game at the same time. So they're getting double for the price of whatever. But it's not costing us anything, and it's only adding to the community. So that's a great enhancement too.
One other thing, we just released 2 weeks ago a report, the BGA reports, actually based on your feedbacks as a member of the BGA in order to kind of paint the state of the blockchain gaming ecosystem. In 2022, what's happening, what will happen in terms of trends in 2023. And actually we got 30% of respondent sites crypto winter as the one of the biggest negative impacts of the blockchain industry. And actually it feels like Web3 game companies have to play with the upside and the downside of what's happening in the crypto market. So how game company could evolve and protect the games against the sentiment that you see in the crypto winter, according to you, Stefan?
It's for me undeniable that like the crypto sentiment and the Web3 gaming sentiment is related. We also see it in our community, and I think colleagues here around, if you're running a community, every time when people become bullish, you see it in your community, and when then bear market hit it. But I think it's a little bit a fault of our own industry, because in the, I don't want to talk about bull runs, but in the previous bull run, it was mainly crypto people who created NFT games and experiences. And it was not about the game experience, it was about the NFTs and token sales. So, and then of course, if you're in the space to be an NFT flipper, and you only add value to something, and of course, if then a bear market strikes, you devaluate it by 90%, yeah, nothing to be happy about. And this is what I believe that's a very nice lesson for us, that I strongly believe that the new type of Web3 games that are really building on sustainable economies, and it's not about drying up token supplies and stuff like that, it's not about earning money, it's really about adding value to a game. I really believe that this will change, and of course, you all know, creating a great game takes some time, it takes a few years, and I believe in the next, and I'm going to say one time, the next run that we have when people become bullish again, I really believe that then you will see that it's not about the NFTs and the value, but it's about, like Roman said, it's about ownership. And this is what I think that you should work on and think about. So yeah, we are related to the sentiment, but the more we focus on ownership and less on value, the more we become not related anymore to just financial sentiment. And one thing to add, I'm 100% sure that projects and games who only focus on this kind of stuff will have a hard time the upcoming years. So all the projects that are just here to do a token sale and to do a cash grab and sell NFTs just without any utility and stuff, they will have a very, very bad time. So it was good in 21, it will not work in 22, 23, 25, not 22, 23, 25, not going to happen anymore. I'm 100% sure of that.
Okay, great. Obviously, when we try to ask the question how to onboard game developers into Web3, it's all about education. We try to do that. We try to do our part as a BGA through the reports. I encourage everyone to read, available on the website and at our booth. It's all about education on your side as well as a company. So I guess, Maciej, how do you try to educate your game developers about blockchain?
That's a good question. So most of the developers are afraid of blockchain. They feel this is like a very big investment, and when they see market going down as it is, it doesn't bring a confidence into it. As our company, we're focusing on a couple of things. We are developing incubator in Poland, in Krakow, which will be incubating around 40 projects. And our goal is to look for indie companies, game companies, students, and they will focus on looking at the projects that are really having extremely good game, fun game. But unfortunately, in Web2, they cannot exist anymore. They cannot compete to like King or Supercell. They simply don't have a budget for it, right? The user acquisition is way over the line. And educating those developers that there are different ways for them to create from the passion, from the heart, but at the same time to try to reach different ways to monetizing their business. I think it's the key. I think it's to showing them. It's not about tokens, money grabs. I'm not even asking most of the games shouldn't have a token, right? They shouldn't have it, but they should be open to opportunities where they're able to have the NFTs that has utilities. And the key for those NFTs with utilities is that those NFT have an ability to have a utility outside their game. If they can manage it, if a game developer can make NFTs, they will have a utility not just inside their ecosystem, but outside. They might be on something. And then with proper, when Google Play was initially developing its channel, I remember my friends from Google, they were going from door to door to big developers and begging them, hey, could you make a mobile game? And those game developers were like, are you crazy? Why should I make a mobile game? I'm doing good. I have my PC, I have my console, I'm good. So who took the advantage? Is the studio like Rovio, who are like the last project, if this is not going to be successful, we're shutting down. This was the momentum. The big guys just follow. And I think, as me, we should focus on the big talents, the passion, not the money. And finding those people and educating them that it's not really that difficult, blockchains and all of this. We have technology like, for example, Venly, who has a user acquisition, help us with user conversion, where I was so inspired by their model that we rewrite entire white paper to talk about how we convert user from Web 2 to Web 3. If you're playing a game and have fun in Web 2, and lucky enough, I have a good game, if you make a purchase, I'm going to give you a loot box with NFT or token. And it doesn't matter if you don't know about it, because the moment you log in with the Facebook, you have a wallet. We set it up for you automatically. If you don't spend money, well, good behavior. 7 days retention, 14 days retention, so on and so forth. You get a loot box that drives to something. And over time, as we all mentioned, educating the user. Remember where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the platforms. If there are no users, game developers don't want to come. So we have to show them that there are users there. And I will go from that direction.
Can I maybe add a bit? Because it's like a chicken egg, right? So you need games with blockchain and you need people who want to play games on the blockchain. So where do you start? But I'm not worried about the game developers at all because they are used to suffer. So they will wrap their heads around it. They will spend hours talking, figuring out tech solutions, figuring out best economies. We are used to that. We have done that since always. But I'm worried about the gamers. Do they need to be educated? But that sounds like I'm schooling them, right? Who wants to be schooled? So they need to basically get a good game experience, a good onboarding, and then see the benefits of blockchain, whatever you take, right? Like ownership or trading or whatever, even maybe making some bucks out of it. Maybe not as primarily motivation, but it could be, right? That you create a character of value like I did in World of Warcraft, and then you trade it for your school life now, but you sell it then, or you trade, or you gift it to your guild, whatever, donate it, right? So, but you have the option, and I think that should come naturally with a good game experience. You see, like, okay, in this game, it's a bit different than what the games I'm used to. I can actually do what I want with my assets, right? And that, I think, should drive the whole experience, but as seamless as possible, and that is not the case right now, right? So blockchain games currently are not easy to onboard, easy to play, but that is solvable. That is tech and design challenges which are already worked on. But we need to educate gamers, even if the word is not beautiful, but yeah, through good game experiences.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Before we go on, I don't know if you have any question in the audience. Please raise your arm if so. Not for the moment. Oh yeah, we got one there. I don't know if you can have a mic or something, or should I? Yeah, should I go? Perfect. We got one.
Hi guys, I'm Tommy from Boomland. I've got a question around the the position that you think advertising is going to play in Web3, because for mobile game and free to play, it played a massive role, but it's got quite a different approach toward Web3, and I just wanted to hear your thoughts about that aspect.
Who wants to take that one?
I might take it. Since I come from Web 2 quite a lot, marketing and so on. What we're experiencing right now in Web 3 is what we actually had in Web 2 at the beginning. There were no Facebook, there were no Google, you were promoting games using a PR, using the traditional media. Right now we are at the same stage, but eventually my vision, at least my belief, is that Web 3 games become part of the Web 2. It's going to be incorporated model that, you're acquiring users as you did back in the day. I mean, right now, like Facebook, Unity ads, and so on and so forth. But, initially at this stage, you're still driving those users to Web 2, and then you're converting them. Otherwise, if you don't have this model, you build a community. The power of building community is that actually you have the power over it. You don't need to do the revenue shares and all the evil things that we are talking about the platforms. Actually, I don't mind doing 30% cut if they give me a traffic. It used to work that way before, when you get the features and stuff, but you don't get the features now anymore. So why we should pay the revenue fee? That's where you're driving the community. However, if we're thinking about a few years ahead, definitely you'll be buying traffic from Facebook and Unity and Google and so on to drive to your users. Right now, community is your best bet. Not so much influencers unless you can swallow the cost. Influencers are mainly to enforce your message, but actually the community strength. And I know it's not easy. Connecting, collaborating with the projects, that could work for you. Actually, I used to love things about, 5-10 years ago. Everybody say, wow, gaming industry, everybody is so friendly, so open, helping each other, and movie industry was so bad, evil, Right now, we are actually, in the game industry, everybody's evil and doesn't help each other anymore so much. Because competition became so fierce, right? But the Web3 now, it's like everybody's open, happy, and collaborating together. Maybe that's the key, till we get to Web 4.
Any other question? Oh yeah, we got one there.
Thank you. My name's Adam from Formation Games. I was just wondering, in Web3, most of the time we talk about how to make existing Web2 concepts better. I think someone else earlier called it sort of looking in the rearview mirror, actually. But can you think of any new player activities that Web3 will enable, sort of new types of gameplay or new gamers that are kind of engaged by this stuff that we just haven't seen before because of this new technology?
Yeah, I mean, that is tricky, right? Because if I would know it, I would maybe not be sitting here. But I think it will come naturally. So, and that is the answer I got from my team. So I said, okay, we're gonna do a blockchain game now, and I would say mixed excitement about that message. And then my CTO's first response was like, why do we need a blockchain? We can just do it with a database, right? And which is true. Most of the stuff, if the assets don't leave your game, just do a database. Why you need a blockchain, right? But then you exactly, that is the point. We think like, okay, what can we do if we open the game to outside partners, investors, collaborators, tools, whatever, Metaverse, stuff like this, right? And is there now a answer to like this? No, not easily. I think we will see it in the next years, but definitely, I think everything with trading, gifting, social collaboration on assets, interesting, having branded assets. But again, you could do that with a database in your game, right? But maybe not if the asset leaves the game and goes to somewhere else, or vice versa. You include NFTs and add utility to them through your game, right? So for example, just quickly maybe in our game, as we target esports fans, there's a lot of esports teams that have NFTs, but no utility. If you're a G2 fan, you come into our game, you get a G2 skin, you can show your fandom in the game. That's cool. That's cool utility for that NFT, which was not there before. So maybe one example.
I want to add something more. Is okay. We didn't touch and interoperability is but I think from the moment that we are ready with interoperability and when chains support the interoperability on NFT and I can take my avatar, whatever chain, I think that the challenge for a game designer is much bigger and he has much more potential of come up with new ideas, because then you can create something in Metaverse X and you can go to Metaverse Y and you could do other stuff. So then it depends on the logic within the NFT and not in the game itself. So the further the technology evolves, the more functionality I think and the more ideas that game designers can think about. And I'm 100% sure that in this and 2 years we see things that we said, damn, this was already, because NFT technology is remarkable. We just don't use it 100% correct as we have to use it. And I think this will change over time, and the industry is getting more mature and game designers understand the technology, and when you understand the technology, then you can come up with great ideas and new concepts. So there are ideas, but they are not here yet, or maybe someone is working in a garage or a basement on it. So
can I add a little bit? The blockchain provides an immutable boundary on what you can do. Like when we think of APIs and normal Web2 services, they're operated by someone, there's an admin that can turn them off, corrupt them a little bit, or change the rules of how the game can be played, or just get an advantage somehow. But when you're on a blockchain, that sort of levels the playing field quite a bit. Well, it levels the playing field for everyone, really, globally. And then everyone's competing on the same field, but then it opens up the possibility for other game entities to come in and play and really push the boundaries. And I know AI's come up a lot as the new topic of the new thing and everything like that, like the flavor of the month in gaming now. But there's also going to be the possibility that AIs are the game players. So people will be able to get an army of AIs to come together and start, dare I say, bot the games. And on Web2 games, that can be hard to traffic and hard to control. But it's also hard to know that someone's not getting in the back door and doing something a little bit corrupt. When you're on the blockchain, that's all leveled. And so that could be another dimension where we're all driving our teams of AIs to play the games too.
I might have a very quick thought. I really believe that Player Ready 1 can happen without blockchain. Ownership. Think about that. Creating the oasis, it's all about ownership. We're not creating something new. We are just controlling the economy, giving the power back to the users. We are not the tyrant who said this has to be valued this and this. Let the market decide. That gives actually a lot of power to build Metaverse. I'm building Metaverse, so I have something to say about it. But really, Player Ready 1 or Free Guy, I don't think it can happen without blockchain technology.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate our conversation. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's a really good panel. Lots of different stuff covering there.